All right, hey guys. So today we're going to do our first flip video. I don't normally have the warm up there, but since I'm not with you, I thought I would go over that based on our expectations from yesterday. So just listen as I go over these. Swim mask student get out of his or her seat and move around when I ask him or her to. Otherwise, you should not be doing that. We have assigned seats for a reason, and you don't get to switch of your own accord. So you need to be where you're supposed to be unless I ask you to move. When I'm in the middle of instruction, I expect you are not up and walking around. If you have trash to throw away, that is number 2 on my list here. I will tell you when you are to dispose of that, but it is not in the middle of class. Number 2, the rules regarding food in the classroom and trash. So I fully expect for you, if you bring food into class, that you will finish that within the first 3 or 4 minutes of class and dispose of your trash, perhaps while people are working on the warm-up, and you might be finished at that point. Otherwise, if you're still working on the warm-up when I start class, just hold on to the trash and throw it away at the end of class. I do not want you eating all throughout class, especially chips or something that's really loud and obnoxious. You need to take care of that at the very beginning and then get rid of your trash before I begin class after the warm-up. The consequences for following the rules. First, I will warn you, and that's normally one-on-one, like I'll go to you and say, this is your warning. But it also could be in front of everyone, if I need to stop a behavior and I call you down, that is a warning. Number 2, the second step, if that behavior continues or there's some other problem, then I will assign you lunch detention with me, where you will clean all the desks and you will sweep the floor. Then if this happens again, then I will send in a referral. So that's how the system works. Remember, teachers don't assign ISS, suspension, any of that. That's all done through the office. All we do is send in the referral of the bad behavior that occurred. All right, so let's do the essential questions here. You will come back to this at the end and you will answer these. If for some reason I run out of time, then you need to answer them on your own, but I normally try to get them in. How were migrants able to walk into the Americas? That's the first thing we're going to talk about. Where did the agricultural revolution begin? And what important crop was domesticated at this time? So we're starting with migration to America. Scientists are just not clear when the first people actually arrived in America. It's under huge debate right now between, the research says 15 to 30,000 years ago is generally the settled upon time frame, which is a big time frame, but that's what you need to write. They're going to use geographic origin, DNA, ethnicity to try to determine where did these people come from that are going to show up in the Americas. And the evidence proves that they came from Asia. Radiocarbon dating is finding the age of an object, and basically when they find remains, bones, the level of radioactivity within the carbon inside the bone is called carbon-14. All living creatures absorb carbon, and then we lose that carbon at a different rate upon our death. So knowing the rate at which carbon-14 loses its radioactivity, experts can then calculate how old bones are that they discover. So this is where they get the 15 to 30,000 year time frame. Migrants were able to come to America because of the Ice Age. So around 10,000 years ago, much of the Earth's water froze into huge ice sheets or glaciers, and the ocean level dropped, right, because the water is contracting as it is freezing, and dry land that had been under the water is now exposed. So there's some dry land that comes up around all this ice, and that dry land will connect Asia with part of North America, which is actually Alaska. That land bridge is visible, is called the Bering Strait. So I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of that. Just take a break for a second and look at these. Do not dismiss them. That would not be a good idea. So basically what we're finding here is that they think, and you'll see in the video, I'm going back further than the notes, but most folks think, scientists believe, that man originated in this area and then walked over a period of thousands of years through Asia. So that's where we're picking up, through Asia, through present-day Russia. The Ice Age occurs, which makes the water ice, and land pops up above that. As the water contracts into the ice, land is exposed, and they walked across here. Now, you know the world is round. So the next point would be through this area, which is now Alaska, down through Canada, and into the United States. Okay, here's another shot of that area at Alaska, but a much more zoomed in picture. There's Russia reaching out to touch Alaska. This whole region becomes known as the Bering Strait, and this is what we believe froze over. Land appeared, and these people who have some kind of Asian descent are going to walk across into Alaska. Okay, so that's pretty much the plan there. These people obviously were nomadic, which means they move place to place to place for food and hunting. They do not build homes and stay in one location. So they're moving from place to place in search of food. And based again on the DNA of their bones, they are from Asia. They were hunting primarily the woolly mammoth. And the mammoth is going to provide all their basic needs for survival: food, clothing, tools, weapons, shelter. Now, I also need to say that the number of Asians coming across into America is actually very small, because you don't have huge populations back then. You know, they don't have many medications. I mean, what they have is herbal, but they don't have ways to prolong life like we do today with hospitals and doctors and medicine. And so diseases were much more common and killed much more easily the people that contracted them. Also, hunting was very risky, especially when you're fighting a woolly mammoth who is, multiple times bigger than you. But once they were able to spear a mammoth, that mammoth provided every single thing that they needed. So they often followed the woolly mammoth because it was their main food source. I've said before, I'll say again, migration took years, thousands of years for people to get into the Americas. One more thing on the woolly mammoth I will show you here. There he is, huge. If a man was standing next to him, man would only come up to maybe about right here. So, humongous animal that provides so much meat and clothing. I also want to show you, my kids have this book, it's a flip book, and it shows the woolly mammoth and it describes them. And I wanted to read these little sections to you. He says, my tusks grow 13 feet long and weigh over 100 pounds each. I use them to defend myself against enemies. And it says, I use the tip of my furry trunk to pull grass, kind of like an elephant would. Layers keep me warm. In the winter, my coarse fur grows 3 feet long. That's just crazy. And under that is a thick layer of fat. I live off the fat in the winter because I can't get to grass. I can go on long migrations. That's important for you to remember. Traveling great distances. My long fur, which covers even my tail, insulates me from the cold even when I'm on the move. So they were migration animals. And the people just followed with them. So division of labor here is going to form between men and women. And so men are going to be the hunters. Women are going to be the gatherers, especially in spring and summer and maybe early fall when they find berries and fruits and things. But the migrations end when the Ice Age ends. Because when the Ice Age ends, there is no more ice. It melts, the earth warms up, and then the land that once had formed across that Bering Strait is now covered in water. So you don't have any more people coming across. Obviously on foot they're not, because there's no way to cross on foot. The extinction of the woolly mammoth occurs around this time, And migrants start realizing if we're going to survive and there's no more woolly mammoth, what are we going to do? We've got to come up with a plan B. So here's their plan B, an agricultural revolution. It begins in Mexico 10,000 years ago, and their primary source of food that they're going to domesticate is called maize. Now in this class, do not say the word corn, okay? You're going to say maize. It is corn, but they're going to call it maize, and that's what we want to use. Most important, it can be ground into flour to make bread. This is where you get the tortillas from, dried for storage. You also have other crops grown like pumpkin, squash, gourds, beans that they're going to domesticate, but maize is the number one. So this means that everyone has settled in and settled down. I had a bunch of maize up here. There it is. So, I mean, once you're growing domestically, that means you have settled down, you're not moving, and you're growing crops from seed, from the ground, and you are cultivating it, and you are watering it, and you are harvesting it. It is now domesticated. It is not wild things growing that you are traveling and you find and pick and eat. It is you have planted the seed and you are taking care of it in this location that you chose. Okay, so that is maize. Change is brought by the agriculture. People can stay in one place. They don't move anymore. There's not this constant migration and hunting of food and traveling with the woolly mammoth. There is a surplus of food. Now that means you have more food in some cases than you have people, and that's a good problem. Food is now stored up in case of famine, or if there's a drought, you can store up this food. Other skills and trades develop because civilization rises up. Cities rise up. And you need to know what cities are, what civilization is. And it is common, a lot of commonality, common language, because these people have settled together. So over years and years, they're developing a similar language. Common religion often. An established government to keep order and keep the peace. Arts. You'll see paintings and drawings and eventually musical instruments. And trade, which fuels their economy. Ways to meet up with other groups and swap, bargain out for items. So you bring your items, they bring theirs, and you swap for things. So civilization rises up, all because everyone stops moving after the extinction of the woolly mammoth, and they develop this most important crop, which is maize. Okay, very important in Mexico. All right. Okay, I want you to go back and do your essential questions, and I will do them with you if you would like. And when we're finished with this, then you need to work on your summary. And remember, it needs to be 4 to 5 sentences long with substantial information in it. So how were migrants able to walk into the Americas? Recall, it's all because of the Ice Age, and let's be more specific. When the ice freezes at the Bering Strait, then, the water contracts and freezes. Then land appears, and the people are able to walk from Asia into North America. So that is how they're able to do that, by way of the Bering Strait that is now frozen. Okay, where did the agricultural revolution begin? Recall, it starts in Mexico. What important crop is domesticated? Maize. So now everyone is staying put. Common language, common religion. They're not moving. They're now trading. That is the sign of the rise of civilization. Okay? Now, you need to go to the end of the document where I've written summary on your sheet, and you need to write your 5-sentence summary that explains these details. I'm also going to put in Canvas a link to a video that you need to watch, and you'll fill out a sheet with that, and it will show in greater detail what I was talking about how these people walk across the Bering Strait. Okay, so do your summary. Thank you, guys.